happens when I don't turn off the loop. We get stuck in repeat mode for a little bit, everybody. Welcome to the show today, everybody. It is 3 of us this week. Myself, Jenna Chavez, Kaiser Ruel is joining us on a more permanent basis now. Welcome to our final show of the 2023 calendar year, Blizzard warning, part of the
Well, happy New Year to everybody for 2023. Let's say goodbye in a proper way.
Guys is already partying with us already. He's on top of things already.
No, I'm drinking in sadness. Don't take that as a happy thing.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna jump right into it. It was a mixed bag this past week for the Colorado Avalanche as they went 2-2 over the past week. Jenna, you were at the game on Wednesday night for the celebration of Eric Johnson coming back to town.
He got the best standing ovation, and it was awesome, and he cried.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest fan of EJ, but seeing that tribute and the sign that even Landy with his kids put up was the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
We were on the end with Landy. We could look down and we saw Landy and his son and daughter and wife and the little sign. She's like, even though you're wearing the wrong sweater, we still love you, Uncle EJ. And I was like, oh, my heart.
It touched my heartstrings. Like, I'm not a big fan of EJ. I never have been. However, he was a vital part of the organization. 13 years. It was a great showing on how we treat our players and how he deserved to be seen. Longest tenured player. Yep.
11 years with the Colorado Avalanche organization, and one of the longest tenured, as Kaiser was saying, longest tenured players in Colorado sports history. It's amazing to see a player stay that long in one place. You know, Joe Sakic.
Well, and not to mention that he kind of was the sacrificial lamb to protect players from the Kraken draft. Well, because he did waive his no trade clause, and he was.
Yeah, he made himself available so we could protect other players that were more vital to the organization. So I give him hats off to him.
He's a class act of a guy for sure.
No, that's a hard thing to do.
I can imagine.
Especially knowing you have your family established here, and him to waive his no trade clause to protect other players he fought of the team more than he did himself, which is the most respectable thing that you get out of hockey players.
Well, it's a rare thing in athletes these days.
Facts.
In general.
You don't get a lot of consistency or commitment from athletes to one organization, especially in this day and age when salaries are all the rage across most sports. But it
Looking
was
at you, baseball.
Football.
Hey, still over here loving the Munfords.
Thank you to the Brock Purdy's, Nick Mullins, Danny DeVitos of the NFL world for potentially bringing quarterback salaries down into the lower stratosphere. I truly
down
appreciate
into the
it.
level with running backs.
Yeah,
down to where it's actually affordable.
Yeah, so
I don't know if it's affordable.
The Avs won 5-1 against Buffalo on Wednesday night last week.
Which was a great showing. It was a great showing of Avalanche hockey. That was the perfect aspect. Like everything we talked about last week, how the chemistry needs to be there, how they need to stop making stupid passes. They need to just actually have a full-on offensive presence in their zone. We did everything I had spoken about, and that's what Avalanche hockey was, and that's what it looked like. It was beautiful. It was incredible. Sadly, we had to shut EJ down, but we shut him down, and we did what we had to do.
I mean, we love him, but we're still going to beat him when he comes.
We love you, but you're wearing jersey.
Like Randy's kid said, he's wearing the wrong jersey, but we still love you.
Buddy. But that was one thing that I did note from watching the highlights. When the Avs assault the net, we win.
when the Avs hold the net and they
definitely we have to put pressure on the net. We have to have a presence in front of the net for screens, for tips, for any sort of rebound possession. That is key, and that is what we have not been doing as of late, and it is very concerning to me.
It's one thing to sit there and be like, yes, it's a 5-1 win, but it's against Buffalo, who, I believe
they're like 9-13-2. They're not good.
They're not a great team. They're 13-7-3 on the year right now. So this is a team you are supposed to beat. The issue that we're having right now is the Avs aren't beating the competition that they're competing with for the division or competing with that are going to be typically playoff teams. Hence, last Saturday's game against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg. The Avs lost 2-6 in that game and a very poor showing. I think
100%. Like it's bad. It's
bad. It's either really good or it's just fucking ugly.
Well, every time we lose a game, we make sure we lose the game. It's not just like, hey, we had a chance, it was close, we played good, tight hockey. No, it was, we are going to lose this game to the worst effect known to man.
It's like when
the only exception would have been was last night's game, which we'll get to. But I mean, this Winnipeg game, it leaves a lot of questions for a lot of fans, a lot of the players in general. Is like, how can we go from having such a great night against one opponent, outscoring them 5-1, and then turn around with 2 days rests before this game and put up such a poor showing, 2-6, even on away ice? I get playing away from your home arena is a little more difficult than what it normally should be. You don't have
the year they won the cup, they had one of the best road records in the league. So
very true. So
we have one of the best road teams in the NHL. Hands down. We play. It sucks knowing that home ice advantage is a big thing in the NHL. It always has been. But for the fact that we are the best road team, it kind of says something that we have a hard time playing at home. Because of the fact that we get so complacent being at home.
Well, 12-4-0 at home right now, which is not a bad record.
Which is nice.
We have a good home record this year,
too. You're scoring 4.31 goals per game on average, and you're plus 24 goal differential while you're at home. They showed that stat last night. The other stat that they showed last night was the Avs' current away record, which is 7-6-2. A 2.87 goals per game average on the road, but they're a -7 differential on the road right now, which is not.
But see, I put that all on injuries.
Yeah, losing Sam Girard's out, Andrew Cogliano's out, Arturi Lekkonen's out, Cale Makar is out right now. I agree with you, Kaiser, that some of that can go towards injuries. But I think there's more to it than just injuries, and we'll dive on that topic a little bit later.
It's a whole other can of worms
in the show. Yeah, that's a big can
of worms. That's a big can of worms. That's the biggest worm I could ever see.
So the Avs flipped the script on Sunday, where they went from losing 6-2 to winning 6-2, and again back at home again against a less. A bad quality opponent.
Not a top tier Western Conference opponent.
Team. The Western, like the San Jose Sharks, are the Colorado Rockies of the NHL right now.
Well,
I don't know. There's Ottawa.
There's San Jose too. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Teams out there.
I mean, like, in a way, if you really want to look at it, the San Jose Sharks are like the Oakland A's. They're close to getting relocated.
Yeah, I can accept that.
And the best bet would be Houston, and that's not even a good bet.
So 6-2 against the San Jose Sharks, and then a 1-goal loss, the first loss for the Colorado Avalanche in which they didn't let up more than four or more goals. This is the first time they've allowed less than 4 goals in a loss and lost a game which they should have won. Plain and simple. You're going up against 9 wins on the season last night, and Chicago.
We should have slaughtered Chicago.
Chicago gave you a run for their money, and I will say what I saw of that game. I not credit where it's due. Connor Bedard is going to be something special.
I was just about to say, but can we just acknowledge the fact that Connor Bedard is phenomenal?
No.
Kaiser,
no.
Some of those passes, some of those plays getting into the offensive zone with Connor Bedard were actually pretty impressive.
Here's so beautifully.
But you said it right there. He cherry picked. That is how he gets most of his points. Is he cherry picks? You don't see him falling back, playing defense. He cherry picks. He's taking a card out of the old school Ovechkin playbook. Let me cherry pick while I'm young. Let me do this. I don't know how to play defense. Blah, blah, blah. I'm taking points. He's not as great as he claims to be, as everyone claims him to be.
You're taking it one step further. I'm not claiming he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, he will be something proper. He's entertaining to watch. This is why the NHL scripted everything. This is why Chicago got the first overall pick. All right, calm down, Vegas. You got to keep some people entertained in the Central Division because it just can't be the Avs and Dallas going back and forth all the time. Well, you got to give them something.
You can't even say that this year because the Central is so tightly knit this year. Everyone is within a game of each other in the entire Central. It's ridiculous. Aside from the bottom feeders.
I mean, your top 4 teams, Dallas Stars are in first place with 40. Colorado's there in second place with 40. But Dallas has 2 games.
Have 2 games?
Dallas has 2 games.
Dallas has 2 games in hand.
I thought we had 2 games.
No, Dallas has 2 games in hand. Winnipeg's in third with 39 points. Nashville's in fourth with 36. Arizona, 5th place with 34 points. So it's pretty tightly packed right there.
We're within a game to 2 games of points in the entire Central. This is why I've always said the Central Division is the toughest division in hockey.
I agree with you there. It's been one of the toughest divisions in hockey for some time. I mean,
the last decade at least.
Yeah.
You go back, I mean, Chicago's dynasty, that was a team nobody wanted to play against. And then St. Louis, when they went on their run, you had Winnipeg, who's always been a playoff caliber type team. We've been a playoff caliber type team for
We've
years.
Been a cup caliber team for the last 5 years.
Yeah. So it's competitive. And then Dallas is starting to figure things out and whatnot. And they've been a high caliber team for the last 3-4 seasons now. So it's a tough division to play. And I don't think anybody likes playing in the Central Division, not even the teams that are in the Central Division. And when Seattle came along, everybody kind of looked around and was like, hey,
Arizona's shit in their pants.
You guys need to go to the Central Division.
So that was Arizona, the Coyotes are shitting their pants because now they're part of the Central. They're like, fuck, we got to play all these guys again.
You got to play these guys how many times a year? 4 or 5?
So many.
Well, that was good with 2. What the heck?
So I want to talk to you guys about something as we get ready to, or before we get into that, let's talk about the man who's on fire right now, man. Nathan McKinnon continues to do it. He pushed his point streak to 16 consecutive games last night, and he passed Milan Hader for career points. He currently sits 4th with 807. Michel Goulet is ahead of him at 946. I think it's going to take McKinnon just a little bit to
3 more years, 3 more seasons, and I think he'll ULA.
2.5, 3 more seasons.
I said just a little bit. I wasn't.
Oh, it's still going to take some time. However, McKinnon, he is literally living up to his original nickname that we gave him, Nate the Great.
The Great.
He is living up to it. However, there's been a lot of sloppy play out of him in the same sense. Yes, he's putting up points, but he's still not making right decisions. His turnovers in the offensive zone are tremendous right now. And that's not his game. And I think a lot of it has to do with chemistry on the lines and them switching it way too damn much. It's throwing him off his game. It's throwing the entire team off their game.
He should be used to that, though. But Bednar does changes all the time.
But McKinnon can only do so much. He spent 4 seasons basically doing everything on his own.
And I think he's getting back. We're getting back to that kind of point right now.
It frustrates him because he's trying to play a team-based game like we have established in the last 3 years, but now it's kind of it's frustrating him so much to the point to where he wants to just do it all on his own, but he tries not to.
When he gets to that point, it's never a good thing.
It's a bad thing.
When he starts trying to force stuff, it's a shit show.
Which is what causes a big problem with our chemistry and our lines. Because now he's like, well, cool, you're wide open, but I don't think you're going to even put it in the net, so I'm going to do it myself.
I'm not going to even look at you.
Yeah.
So it creates that selfish hockey that you don't want to have in your organization. That is what killed Chicago and why they got rid of Taves and why they got rid of Kane and everything else. Because it got to that point in Chicago. We don't want it to get to that point here.
I think there's been a bit of regression, like you guys are talking about, with the Abs going back to, just being the primary lines, scoring and whatnot. And that's because of, some, like you were saying, Kaiser, some chemistry issues and everything that's going on. But I will say this. I think Jared Bednar is starting to figure out a bit of those chemistry issues because
he's figuring out who works well together.
Yeah. Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, who hasn't done a whole lot as of late, but the other winger right now is Valeri Nichushkin.
Well,
I hate to say it, Nichushkin is our top scorer in the last 8 games.
Yeah.
Even with him missing 3 games. Even with him missing 3 games, he is our top scorer on our team right now.
Yeah, I like seeing it, but it's
you can't rely on a top line. That's why you have depth. That's why you have the amount of skilled players that we have for depth, so you don't have to rely on a top line to get points.
Yeah. So it's nice to see, but I want to get back to Nathan McKinnon real quick. We got time for our tangents. Those are gonna happen here in a little bit. I promise you, everybody. We're gonna get there. So the one I want to get to is McKinnon's point streak. He's at 16 right now. As our ticker shows right here, he's tied for 4th overall and longest streak in franchise history at 16. Peter Stastny's accomplished this feat, I think, 4 times in his career. A 16-game point streak.
This is the first time he's gotten to 15, right?
This is the first time that Nathan McKinnon's gotten to 16 points on a point streak. He's gotten to 15 several times.
He's gotten to 15 multiple times.
I think 4 times he's gotten to 15.
So now the question is, do you think he continues this point streak come next game, or do you think it washes out?
I think there's a good possibility with the teams that we're playing, the teams that we're playing, and we'll go over the schedule in a little bit. You've got Ottawa, Arizona twice, you've got St. Louis Blues, and you have San Jose again.
Yeah.
That's 5 games right there. I firmly believe that Nathan McKinnon has the good possibility to carry this point streak into 2024.
I personally, let's say it. I think the point streak ends our second game against Arizona.
Blasphemy, dude. No.
I think it. I agree with Kaiser. I think it ends because McKinnon. It's his MO.
Well, and on top of
it's
that, like
what he does.
aside from his MO, look at the Arizona team that we're gonna be playing.
Okay.
They are very good at adapting to an early loss. So, like, we could beat them in the first game, but that second game, they're going to come back with everything they got. And they're actually a quality scoring team. I mean, they have Krause as one of their top scorers, and the guy is incredible. He can put the puck in anywhere.
Their rookie Cooley's looking pretty decent.
And then
as well,
their goaltender on top of that he can be a brick wall.
Yeah. I don't
that's why they're climbing. There's a reason why they're climbing up the standings. They're a scary team.
Yeah,
even though you might not think it, but they're a scary team.
They've got 16 wins right now. That's good for looks like. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
They're 7th,
8th in the Western Conference right now. So they're technically a wild card team right now.
Yeah, they're a quality team. That's why I think the point streak, and I hate to say it, I hate to be that Debbie Downer, but I think the streak ends the second game against Arizona.
Kaiser, you say you don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but your face says otherwise.
It makes me sad to say that.
Yeah, sure.
I have to give it to you on that one, Kaiser. You made some good points as far as the possibility of the streak coming to an end. We recall the last time we played Arizona, it was a 4-3 overtime loss, I believe.
Yes,
and we had a hard time breaking into the offensive zone as they were kind of shutting us down as we were trying to streak in, which is McKinnon's MO, as you were pointing out. So that's some very valid points that made by Kaiser right there. You may have convinced me otherwise, but I still hope for this streak to carry on into 2024. I will say
he carries this streak to 25 games.
But it's just the reality.
The reality is it's a possibility the streak ends. And I think, Kaiser, you made a valid point. Arizona is probably the team that would be able to do it, especially with back-to-back games.
Yeah.
I think the saving grace for the Avalanche when it comes to that is there's a 3-game Christmas break between games.
Yes, that is the one and only saving grace with that.
So it
can also bite us in the ass because they get just as much rest.
True. So I mean, it's a wait and see type of moment, and we'll see what exactly happens right there when it comes to that. And we'll dive some more in on these upcoming games coming up. But I want to touch base on the Avs' current record, as we are at a good spot where it's the 20th of December. The Avs are currently 19-11-2 this season. They've played 2 more games to this point than what they played last season. And the reason why there's an additional 2 games compared to last season, if you guys recall, the Avalanche made up their international games last year when they played Columbus overseas in Sweden. So
we played those 2 extra games early instead of later in the season. Last year,
first weekend in November.
The teams that played in the international games the year before, they actually ended up making it 2 later games in the season, so they came after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And it actually bit them in the ass. So us having them made up early in the season, hence why we have so many back-to-backs.
Well, it wasn't just the number of back-to-backs.
But 2 of those games were created as a back-to-back.
Yeah.
To make them up because it was easy travel.
Indeed. I think there's like a 3
one
or 4.
One of them was a West Coast swing.
Yeah. But when talking about the international games last year, I think there was like a 3 or 4 day break both before and after the international game for travel purposes and everything.
Yeah.
So that's why the Avs had 2 less games up to this point last year. But as you can see, the records are pretty similar. 17-11-2 at this time last year, 19-11-2 this point last year. Last year, we were sitting in 4th place at this time. And this season, we're sitting in 2nd place. So,
but can you really look at that, though? Because last year was last year. This year's this year. They're 2 separate teams. So, like, does that really make an entire difference?
I think it does. And I've got some compelling statistics for you guys.
Let me hear them.
So let's go over these statistics I pulled up a little bit earlier tonight. You might like.
I don't think it makes a huge difference with it being 2 separate teams, 2 separate chemistry builds. I don't think that would have been a big difference, in my opinion.
You would be surprised.
I agree with Scott.
Last year's team.
Okay.
Last year's team. How many 1-goal games do you think we had up to this point in the season last year?
I'd say about 9.
Okay, Jenna. How many 1-goal games do you recall up to this point in the season last year?
Through 32, right?
Through 30 games, 30 games at this point last year, 32 this year. Run, roommate, run!
Run, Rudolph,
that's my child.
Run, Rudolph, run!
The answer, the Avs had 18 1-goal games at this point last season. And the Avs were 11-7 in those 1-goal games.
Oh, please don't tell me what we are now. That kind of scares me.
This year, the Avs have had 9 1-goal games.
I was going to say, we don't have as
I was right on the 9 at least.
For this year.
For the wrong year.
And they are 4 and 5 in those 1-goal games this year. We have a losing record in 1-goal games. Right? We are 4 and 5 in our 1-goal games this season.
I knew that we had a losing record in 1-goal games this year.
Wow.
So here's another
that is a stat I didn't pay attention to.
Here's another compelling statistic for you. When we are talking about games in which the Avalanche have given up 4 or more goals in the last 2 years to start the last 2 seasons. Last year, in 30 of those games, keep in mind, 19 of those games were 1-goal games, or 18 of those games in the first 30 games were 1-goal games. Another 10 of those games were games in which the Avs gave up 4 or more goals. Their record in those games, 1-9.
Oof, that's
yikes.
That's a hurtful stat to hear.
Yeah. This season, the Avs have given up a grand total of 15 games in which they have been scored on 4 or more times, folks. And their record in those games is 3-11-2.
You want to hear another crazy stat going with this year's? How many of those goals were given up within the last 2 minutes of the game?
I don't know. I didn't even look at those numbers.
Half of them.
5. 5 of those games we lost giving up a goal in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Didn't that just happen the other night?
And one of them happened to happen, a minute and 45 seconds apart for us to go from the lead to losing.
Yeah. That was the Nashville game, correct?
I was gonna say that was
that was Nashville.
That was the Nashville game.
They scored the final goal to actually win it with 30.2 seconds left.
That was, and if I recall correctly, that was Cale Makar behind our own net, either fumbling the puck.
He fumbled the puck.
It wasn't Makar, it was Taves.
I think it was a communication error actually between the defensive pairing.
It was.
So it's crazy to think about when that kind of stuff happens, but
that's one of our big downfalls though, is we do not play the last 2 minutes of any period. We've given up more goals in the final 2 minutes of a period than probably any team in the league. this season.
Probably.
That's how bad it's been.
So if we're looking at just this statistic with the 3-10-2 record with giving up 4 or more goals, we can tell that giving up 4 or more goals in a game can be a death sentence, and most likely is going to be a death sentence for any team in the NHL. You're not going to win games. You're not going to be playoff bound if you're giving up 4 or more goals in a game. Which leads me to the question for both of you, and we're going to give you each some time to give us your thoughts and input on this. What are the biggest issues facing the Avs right now? I know
I'd like to give Jenna the floor on this one first.
But I think Jenna, we're going to let you take the lead first. Yeah,
I'm going first.
Jenna, you're going to be up first, so you give us your thoughts.
Oh gosh, and you put me on the full screen.
You were dead set on talking about this. You were angry about it.
I know.
Let's go.
Okay. First off, my question is, what is the state of the locker room? But Bo.
Oh, come on, Jenna. I put it up there for you.
Okay, Bo Byram. Hold on, I gotta find my notes. I have notes.
Hey, Jenna, look at the computer. It's on your ticker.
I know. But I think he's following pressure to the draft. And I think that he might be getting overplayed. He's has 2 points in 9 games and worst possession metrics of any Avs defenseman that is a regular starter. No defenseman has been on the ice for more goals against than him. But I don't know if it's completely his fault. I think that he doesn't have EJ this year. And I think that is affecting him a lot more than they thought it would. And then he had Sam Girard, and they were kind of starting to gel. And then Sam's gone. And now he's kind of wishy-washy away. And he's making really terrible defensive decisions. Like last night, I don't even know what he was doing when Bedard got the puck away from him in our own zone. I don't know. He's young, though. So, yeah. He's 22, 23?
He's 22 years old. He was drafted 4th overall by the Avalanche back in 2019. Mm-hmm. He's a young defenseman. He's dealt with a lot of
his rookie year.
Not just that. It was like he's had some injuries. He's had some concussion concerns and everything else.
Lower body injuries.
That plays a big part in everything, but I do like the thought that you're talking about with Eric Johnson not being here anymore, because it seems like Eric Johnson and Bo Byram were being paired up a lot when it came to the game lineup and everything. So
Bo and EJ talked a lot during the game. Like EJ was Bo's sounding board. Like he was constantly, like, every shift he came off the ice, he was like, I did this, was that okay? And the training wheels are off this year, and I think we're gonna have some spills. I haven't lost hope in him, though. I think that he'll recover.
I have a lot of hope in Bo for the simple fact that he was taught by EJ, who's a veteran defenseman in the league. But with the training wheels being off and him doing it on his own, I don't know how fast it's going to take him to actually, like, instill that without having EJ on his shoulder. So it's causing a little bit of, what's the word for it? Like, confrontation in his mind mentally about how he should go about things.
I don't think it's confrontation. I think it's insecurity.
That's what I mean by like confrontation.
Confidence.
I think we lost Kaiser again.
What should I do? What do I not do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his confidence level isn't as high without.
So Kaiser, I have a question for you in regards to Bo and Byram. we know he's a 4th overall draft pick for the Avalanche, which is outside of Cale Makar, the highest they've ever drafted, another defenseman. So with the success one, Bo Byram, was it Bo Byram first and then Cale Makar?
Yes, by a year. If I remember right.
With the success of Cale Makar, does that create this is a twofold question. One, does the success of Cale Makar create some insecurities for Bo and Byram? Two, even though they have two different styles of game,
it created extra pressure for Bo.
You got Cale Makar, who's one of the perennial scoring talents when he was in NCAA, and Bo Byram, who plays a purely more defensive style of hockey, but can skate with speed and he's big stature
in the corners.
So yeah, he's fantastic in the corners. But my other question for you, Kaiser and Jenna, is if Bo Byram does not fill this role that the Avalanche need, do we see them potentially doing the same thing they did with Alex Newhook after only being with the team for 2 years and moving on from him and trading him off somewhere to give him another chance somewhere else?
I don't think they'll give up on Bo that quick.
I disagree with you. Here's why. Can he fill up potential? Yes, he could, but his development and maybe with Cale coming in has killed his confidence a lot. Because Cale comes in just like on point, just immediate NHL top defenseman, 100%. Do we shop him if he doesn't live up to it? Yes, I believe we do, because of the fact that we have such a stable defenseman. We can let go a top drafted defenseman, and if we do it while he's younger and we can still have a chance to develop more, we can get more out of him on the forward sense that we need for depth.
Yeah. The Avs.
So I believe we will shop him. If it comes down to it, we'll put him on the block, but we're not going to make it known that he's on the block.
Yeah, the Avs re-signed him this offseason to a 2-year contract.
I was going to say, he just signed an extension, didn't he?
Only a 2-year contract, though.
He only did a 2-year. It was a really short contract that he extended. And I could see us shopping him to try to relieve some of that contract off of us to pick up, another second, third line center, which is what we desperately need.
True. I mean, that $7.7 million over 2 years is a big number. I think it's like 3.3 this year and 4.4 next year. Yeah. But
Urschel is right here. Urschel is completely 100% correct.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's got some value as a defenseman on another team. I think the biggest
value as an offensive defenseman, not a strict defenseman.
It depends on what team he goes
to. As an offensive defenseman. That's where his value really lies.
Yeah, but the biggest issue for him is his overall health. He's had a number of concussion issues. He potentially saw the end of his career coming before last season,
Well, last season, he missed the first part with a lower body injury.
Yeah, he's missed some time with injuries.
He's had Achilles issues. He's had ankle issues, which is something that plagued Peter Forsberg all those years ago. That's why we got rid of him to Nashville when we did, because he was just plaguing ankle injuries.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with Bo Byram moving forward. I want to see him improve.
Well, with Byram, the reason why I say we'd shop him is because of that injury history and why we'd have no problem shopping him.
Yeah. No, that's a valid point, Kaiser. Because if we hang on to him and he has more injuries,
it's going to end up biting us in the ass at the end.
Anything.
Exactly.
So that was Jenna's take on some of the biggest issues plaguing the Avs right now. I think the other one we got to look at is Kaiser has a different take, and so do I. I want to hear what Kaiser's take is, as Kaiser feels our goalie situation isn't as great as what it could be.
Yeah, okay, so speaking on that, so Georgiev has been phenomenal for us the last few seasons since we got him, correct? However, last season, he had fight, he had grit, he had passion. His angles were on. He was fighting every game to win that starting position as goaltender for the Avalanche. However, he won that battle and proved last year that he deserves to be a starter. This season has not looked good. He doesn't seem focused. His angles are completely off. His reactions are, his anticipations aren't there. He's overcommitting on plays where he should be making saves. My big problem is you watch him play every game in, game out. Yes, he has, 9 wins now, 8 wins now. His big problem that I've noticed is he just, you can see he's lost passion. He's lost a fight. Like he's giving up too many easy goals.
Yeah.
Way too many easily stopped goals that any true starting NHL goaltender should be saving. He's giving up too many, as you said, soft goals.
Yeah.
He's not reacting right. His mind isn't
and
there.
Why?
He's got 15 wins.
Increased so far, Kaiser.
Well, okay, so I can actually, he comes out on odd man rushes because if you come out towards the puck as a goaltender, the farther you come out, it takes away shooting angles on the net from the shooter. But he ends up doing that, not thinking that there's a trailer or that second person coming down the wing with them that they can just fire to, and boom, there's an odd man rush goal.
You guys want to hear something really weird?
No. Yes.
Georgiev has 2 more wins at this point in the year than what he did last year. He had 13 wins at this point last season compared to 15 wins this season.
This year we played 2 more games than we did last season.
There's the other caveat to that right there as well.
And there's the caveat. So he's equal to last season.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was fun to see Pastertov live.
But here's the big question. Here's the big question. Aside from giving up 7 goals, he had a great game. However,
we're not talking about the Winnipeg.
We're not talking about that game, Kaiser.
We've already touched on it. We spent 30 seconds on it. We've moved on.
I know.
He blinked and missed it.
What is the goals against average compared to last season to this season that Georgiev has?
His goals against average, I would have to look more into that because I didn't look at those numbers.
But that is going to be the teller if he's improved this season or if he's descended on this season. It would be your goals against average.
I can tell you he has definitely regressed compared to last season's numbers. Last season's numbers, with the number of games he played 62 games throughout the entire season, but he had 40 wins.
He was so sharp.
He was very, very sharp last year. I think his final numbers last season. Let me pull that up for you. Last season, his final numbers was a .919 save percentage, 2.53 goals against average with 5 shutouts. He faced 1,904 shots. He's already faced 691 shots this year with a 2.97 save percent goals against average and an .897 save percentage. So there's some regret. There's a fair amount of regression in comparison to last year already.
I think that Bednar needs to put Pasternak in more.
I'm sorry, but you're not going to put somebody who's making $1.25 million in net over somebody who's making 4.3. Just not
give him
a
shot.
You did against Winnipeg, and he Blew it. Kaiser, we cannot hear a word you're saying, brother.
Kaiser's talking a lot.
He's either muted or something's going on. Still nothing, Kaiser. I see the lips moving, but hopefully Kaiser hops back on with us here shortly. I like some of the points Kaiser made, Jenna, in talking about, his angles and stuff looked a little off. He looked a little soft on some of those goals and whatnot.
He's just not as crisp.
I agree. But I personally think, and my take on where the issues that the Avs are facing right now has to do with chemistry, the new faces on the team and the chemistry that we have right now. If you look at the Avs lineup up and down, Alex Newhook is gone. He was supposed to be your second line center last year. You have JT Compher's gone. You've got a number of people that are missing from this team. And Tagliano's out right now. Arturi Lekkonen's out right now. Cale Makar's got some injuries and stuff going on right now. Yeah. So you don't see these people in the lineup right now. And it's causing some communication errors and everything. The entire third line is a completely different lineup.
Yeah.
With Ross Colton and
love you, buddy.
And Miles Wood and everybody. So you don't necessarily see those people coming through all the time. What do you do in that situation? Valerian Nichushkin wasn't performing well, so they moved him up to the top line where he has chemistry with McKinnon and Rantanen. Yeah. And he started to blossom again. The other thing we look at is Ryan Johansson. We got you, Kaiser.
Hi,
Ryan
Kaiser.
Johansson's new.
Cool.
Jonathan Drouin's new, and they
I'm
on my phone, so.
What was up with Johansson throwing that random punch last night?
He got cross-checked. 100%. We'll talk about that.
Sorry, I opened the can of worms
too soon. He was in the slot, and he actually got cross-checked, and then
he got cross-checked last night. He got pissed about it.
The dude was running his mouth during the scrum, and then Johansson was just kind of like, boop, shut your mouth.
Real quick, my issues on this team, I think, and the reason why we're giving up goals and stuff is the communication issues. Yes, Georgiev hasn't looked that great, but to be fair, the changes to the forward groupings and chemistry and the lines and everything has led to some miscommunication, which has led to costly turnovers and poor breakouts, which gives the opposing team opportunities, and it doesn't give you time for your defensive pairings and your goalie to set properly to defend their own zone. And those fast breaks and everything, which is what the Avs are really good at, forcing other teams into giving them, they are now giving in return, which led to that goal that
I'm listening. Keep going.
That Georgiev gave up last night against Chicago, which was just right over the top of his shoulder.
They learned from whom? We're the ones who started doing that. We started that forecheck pressure. And now, because everyone's learned to defend against it, now they're starting to do it themselves. And they're realizing how, what's the word for it? How beneficial it really is.
Yeah. So Mike asks the question, has Georgie run his course? I personally don't think he has. The biggest issue you're going to run into is trying to find somebody else to take his contract, which isn't going to happen. I don't think it's Alexander Georgiev. If I had to place the blame on a percentage basis,
I don't think Georgie is running his course at all. He's got so much potential that he needs to.
Yeah.
He just needs to find his game again. His mentality has been thrown off base with all the forward changes, all the deep pairing changes. And not to mention the injuries that have plagued us.
Yeah, Jenna?
So last year was Georgiev's first year as a starter because when he was in New York, he was the backup, right?
With the Avs,
he was actually a starter for 1 year before Shesterkin showed up.
Okay.
Yeah,
because he had
started for 1 season.
Yeah, he's had Henrik Lundqvist. Henrik Lundqvist
could part of it be that last year teams didn't have a lot of tape on him, and now this year they do?
That's potential. That's a potential thought. Yeah,
I'm just saying. I mean, not like he doesn't look the same as he did last year, but I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of last year, like all of our lines were pretty much dead set, aside from them getting shifted for injuries. I think this year really has him mentally drained in a sense. He doesn't know what his D pairs are going to do because the D pairs keep flopping. There's no chemistry between the D pairs. There's no chemistry between the forward pairs. So he's just having to play on his toes the entire time. So like that's where I'll give him a little bit of slack. He has not run his course. He's still yet to show us a career year, and he will have his career year upcoming.
Oh, yeah.
However, just right now with like all the turmoil we're having with injuries and swapping lines and the way like line pairings are getting changed, D pairings are getting changed, the chemistry is just not there with this team right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on with this team. And like I said, when it comes to teams potentially having video and tape on him and knowing his tendencies and whatnot, that's a coaching issue. That's where the goalie coach and the assistant coaches need to come and be like, hey, you're being predictable with this, that, and the other. Let's tweak this. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. So that part of it on the coaching staff.
I don't think we have an issue with our goaltending coach. We've had Craig Binnington for 10 plus years now.
A long time
as our goaltending coach.
As far as blame for the goalie woes, I think about 30% of that's on Georgiev. I would say probably about 20% of it is on the coaching staff, and 50% of it is on his teammates.
I think it's on the defense more than the forwards in a sense.
No.
I think there's plenty of blame to go around. There's plenty of blame.
I agree with you, Jenna.
I think most of it's going to be on the forward groups because of the chemistry issues and the miscommunication. But here's my other thing that we have to look at. And this is one thing about goalies. The goalies can bitch and complain about inconsistencies happening in front of them, but they're only going to say so much because they don't want to be retaliate. They don't want people to retaliate against them because there's only two goalies on a team.
Yeah.
You're walking on eggshells the entire time as a goalie. You're like, I'm doing the best I can. I don't want to get frustrated because X, Y, and Z, even though it's X, Y, and Z that's happening.
But in the end, your job is to stop the puck.
Exactly.
In the end, your job is to stop the puck.
Yep.
That's where my issue comes with Georgie, with him letting in these soft goals that he should not be allowing.
I challenge for you there, Kaiser.
Scott, the whole chemistry.
Yeah, Kaiser, I got a challenge for you, and we can post this on Colorado Sports Connections Facebook page here in the next couple of days. Is go back. I'm curious because I didn't look at the statistical information on this. Go back and find out how many. Like, take a look at some of the videos if you can find them on the goals that have been scored against Georgiev. How many of them you consider soft goals, and what led up to those goals occurring?
Okay,
usually shenanigans.
I can agree with that.
At least 75% of those soft goals that we're talking about were either because he got pulled out of position because of a failure.
Bad defensive breakdown. Bad defensive breakdown
of some sort, whether it was transitioning from defense to offense and then turning the puck over again or something like that. So that's the one caveat I have for you on that. Yes, he's let in some soft goals, but how many of those goals have been because of poor communication on the ice, improper gameplay technique or whatever else, which has led to the fast breaks for the other team?
Well, so speaking of wild comments, what do we think about this Taves comment post-game last night?
Thank you. Okay, so
we have to touch on it because that was a wild comment that I've never seen out of Taves. It was out of character. It was completely out of character.
It was very out of character. Devin Tays came forward in talking with some of the sports media after the game, and was asked, what do you think is a part of what are some of the issues plaguing the team, yada yada yada. And his response
specifically talked about chemistry.
Do you want his direct quote?
Yeah.
Yes, direct quote, please.
Quote. Okay. I have one part. Let me find the other part. I write a bunch of stuff and then it gets all jumbled up.
It's a two-parter, folks.
Okay. I think we have some guys who think they're playing well, and I think they're kidding themselves at this point. It's frustrating to play out there when you got guys that think they're playing well and they're doing things that you have no idea what play they're gonna make.
Yeah.
I think one of those goes back to a play that happened with Jack Johnson on the ice last night.
No,
Jack Johnson he completely took himself out of the play, and Taves was left, and Bedard got the puck, and they scored.
Well, at first, I thought I was livid about the comment at first, but then I really thought about it, like being an ex-player myself. I understand exactly where he's coming from because he's speaking on the chemistry and all the line pairings and the changes and whatnot. And I actually feel for him because I've felt that way myself on the ice, to where guys think they're playing so good, but yet they're making the wrong plays to where they should know where I'm at and give me the puck. I can score this. I know that from experience.
Do Taves' comments correlate with Rantanen's comments a week ago about Lakinen's dad?
No.
It does not correlate at all.
But
Rantanen has his own problems going on right now.
Yeah, but does it seem like that would be an issue that would cause issues inside the locker room? Like, are we looking at a locker room issue now?
I think we're looking at a locker room chemistry issue, not a locker room issue, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
All right, McKinnon needs to step up, take everybody out to eat, and be like, all right, guys, this is
McKinnon is not the man. I'm sorry, McKinnon is not the man to do it.
I'm trying to make a joke, and you guys are shutting me down. Damn.
The fucking
you know how I feel about McKinnon's leadership skills, Scott.
This has nothing to do with McKinnon's leadership skills. I was saying McKinnon needs to take everybody out and simply say, all right, guys.
Eat what they want to eat.
Yeah, this is the one cheat meal you get. They ain't getting ice cream. No, the person needs to take them out.
Turkey burgers?
No, they need to have a team meeting. They need to have a team meeting, no coaching staff, no trainers, nothing. They have a team dinner.
They did last year. Do you remember what happened after
Landeskog needs to take them out when they get on. Landeskog needs to take them on a team fucking dinner for a team meeting, and they really need to address the fucking problems head on with each other and figure shit out.
Maybe Maybe they need to go to the titty bar like they did after they won the cup.
They need just a team meeting. No coaches, no trainers. Go to the titty bar, have some beers, get some dinner, and figure your shit out and just get fucking right with each other.
Scott is like, oh my gosh, what is going on right now?
Get right with each other. Get right with each other. Get that chemistry together. Build that brotherhood back up. Because it feels like in the locker room we have lost that brotherhood.
Yeah.
There's got to be something that's got to be addressed there.
And the only one who can actually make it team-wise is Landy.
I want to touch on one more thing before we move on to our schedule. We passed the hour mark, and with us being
we knew it was going to run late with it being the last for a couple weeks.
This is going to be our last episode for a couple of weeks, so we're okay running a little bit late. But I want to touch on one more thing that was briefly brought up by you, Jenna, was Ryan Johansson did get cross-checked in front of the net there late in the game last night.
Okay, so
you know who else got cross-checked and didn't get a call? Nathan McKinnon.
Twice.
Twice. Yeah.
Twice.
Well, I mean, Nathan McKinnon gets cross-checked or tripped at least once a game.
I think the problem is, man,
but
we need our big bruisers to step up.
Yeah. It was,
and
Johansson was sending a message.
It was late in the game.
Yes.
It was late in the game. You empty net. You pulled your goalie for an extra attacker and everything. You're in the offensive zone. You're playing hard. McKinnon is at the top. Like if you're looking at the offensive zone from just the top of it, McKinnon's over on the bottom left side of the screen by the blue line.
Okay.
And he gets a puck. He goes to toss it in. And he gets crushed. He is a good 3.5 feet away from the boards, gets crushed, and his face makes contact with that curved part of the glass.
What is up with our players getting
and they didn't call
into the boards?
And then McKinnon goes to talk to the ref afterwards, and the ref's just like, "Oh, I'm not going to call anything. I'm not." Well,
and Landy's not on the ice right now to handle that because if that happened when Landy's on the ice.
Our big problem is we have Manson for a reason. He's our big guy. He's our big enforcer.
But he's not going to be out there in the last minute and a half of a game when you're down by one.
So we haven't had a big guy enforcer. Like that's one thing I do miss about Newhook being around and having O'Connor on the ice. Like we don't have that big guy to step up and actually basically police shit to where
you do. They just don't do it.
But Johansson had to, hence why he threw the little shot at him.
I'm not talking about Johansson here. Yeah. Like Johansson had a right because he got.
Well, no, I know that,
and that should have been called too. But McKinnon has shown in his own right that he can lay somebody out. Valeri Nichushkin's on the ice. He can take a hit. He can throw a hit.
Yep.
But nobody's stepping up.
Mikko Rantanen is not small.
But the problem is nobody is stepping up to police everyone getting cheap shotted.
Somebody has to do it. Somebody
nobody is.
To step into those.
And nobody is.
No.
Do you realize?
O'Connor's good about it when he's on.
Yeah, but OC's a small guy. He can only do so much. He'll step up, yes, but he can only do so much.
Yeah.
Here's the point, though. If you can get somebody like. I know I don't want them doing it every single game.
No.
I don't want Rantanen, Nichushkin, McKinnon doing that kind of stuff every single game.
Someone needs to drop the gloves.
Somebody does. But that hit that McKinnon threw the other night, that fired up the team.
Textbook.
That was a textbook hit. It fired up the team. Everybody was pumped up. The fans were pumped up. Everybody was excited to see it. That's the fire I want to see from Nathan McKinnon. I go back to.
We need to see the fire in the entire team, not just McKinnon. We need that fire in the entire team.
But that type of hit from an elite player, that type of a hit on another opponent from an elite player can fire up the entire team.
It's a trickle
down. That brings me back to like watching Ovechkin back in the day where he literally benched people, like put people on the bench constantly.
Could you imagine?
People are fired up about it because he's a superstar.
Could you imagine, though, being an opposing team and not knowing who it was that was going to lay a hit into you like that? Is it going to come from O'Connor? Is it going to be McDermott, which it normally is? Or will it be Bo Byram? Or will it be Cale Makar? We've seen Cale Makar throw those hits.
Well, you're in the NHL. You should be questioning that. You should be questioning that. You're in the NHL. Right now, these are NHL quality players.
Right now, though, it feels like the Avs are trying to protect their star players more and just have them scoring points instead of playing their all-around hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
with that, that's what upset me last game against Chicago is everyone was trying to force feed Nichushkin for the hat trick all game.
Yeah. I wasn't happy with that after he got the first 2 goals.
It was frustrating. Instead of just playing their game and putting pucks in the net.
Wait, I have something to say about last night's game.
She has something to say. All right, let's go, Jenna.
Real quick. The Avs did not score a 5-on-5 goal last night.
Nope.
And the 4 defensemen that they were going up against have played less than 100 games combined in the NHL.
Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That shows how much our chemistry is lacking.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's bad.
Way to depress me with that piece of news.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Would hurt me.
Like,
that would hurt the heart.
The bottom 4 defense of Chicago
Check me, I'm about to have a heart attack.
have played less than 100 NHL games, and the
Avs
failed to score a 5-on-5 goal.
All right.
I think I'm gonna have a stroke.
Yeah.
Let's get to the upcoming schedule.
So we're gonna work on closing this stuff out. Here's the gift for you. It's called a box of shit.
Hey, you want some coal? You've been a bad boy.
All right, guys. The Avs have 5 games remaining on their calendar year for 2023. Tomorrow night, they face the Ottawa Senators, who are 8th in the Atlantic Division, 7 p.m. on altitude. The 23rd, which is the final game. Yep. The final game before the Christmas break on Saturday, Arizona is in town. That is a 7 p.m. start on altitude, too. Again, we get relegated to the secondary network because the Nuggets are playing that night. And, by the way, just because they do play at Ball Arena as well, if you guys are not doing anything on Friday night, I unfortunately have to work. The Mammoth open up their season this week.
The Mammoth do have their opener this week. That is right.
Go check the Mammoth at Colorado Mammoth out on Friday night. Tickets are dirt cheap. It's always a fun time. Lacrosse, indoor lacrosse. So go check that out.
The question with the upcoming schedule, do you think we can create a winning streak out of this upcoming schedule?
I certainly hope so.
There's there's really no reason that we shouldn't be able to.
There's no reason not to. So the 27th, the Wednesday after the Christmas break, we're in Arizona. Then
we're in the college. We're in the college town. We're playing the college game.
Playing in Tempe, Arizona.
So the 29th, next Friday, St. Louis is in town, or I think we go to St. Louis. I can't remember which. And then San Jose on Christmas, on New Year's Eve. That is a firework game indoors. If you've never seen a firework game indoors at Ball Arena,
they're incredible.
Entertaining. It's kind of entertaining.
They're incredible. New Year's Eve.
I did not know they did this.
I think you know where to find Jenna on New Year's Eve. She's gonna go down.
For sure, we know where I'll be.
So
it's a lot of fun being at the New Year's Eve game with the fireworks on the ice. It's cool.
So the question remains: can the Avs start a bit of a winning streak on this? And I certainly freaking hope so. You're talking about
if they don't,
8th place team,
I'll be worried.
5th place team of the Central, a 6th place team of the Central, and an 8th place team in the Pacific. If you cannot create,
I'll be worried.
My big thing is, I don't know, because we just lost to a bottom feeder in the division last night.
Yeah.
So anything is up in the air, and so I said we could, but my only worry on this section of the schedule would be Arizona.
Yeah,
they are my only big worry. The only reason the St. Louis would become a worry would be if they end up hiring a new coach before that instead of running with the interim head coach.
Which I don't see happening anytime soon.
That would make I don't see it happening anytime soon either. So my only worry would be Arizona.
Arizona, they've already beaten us once in an overtime, 4-3 overtime.
They're a quality squad.
They're a decent squad.
They have really good point shooters. They have really good forwards who find the slot and find the open slot and get good quality shots and score chances on us.
And they have a big goaltender. He's been playing lights out for him this year. So that's going to be the biggest issue right there. I think Ottawa could be a chippy game just because, Tkachuk.
Well, Tkachuk's Tkachuk.
Yeah, but it's not Brady.
It doesn't matter. A Tkachuk's a Tkachuk.
It doesn't matter. Tkachuk is a Tkachuk.
You mix a Kachuk with the
10
Colorado
minutes,
Avalanche,
misconduct,
and
everyone on the ice.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight sometimes. So doesn't matter which one it is. They learn from their father and
their uncle too, right?
Father, uncle, they learn from them all. It's
my question is we have Ottawa tomorrow night, correct? Yes. What are our predictions for Ottawa tomorrow night?
I'm gonna go 4-1 Avs.
5-3 Avs.
I think I'm going to go with a 5-2 Avs.
5-2 Avs. All right. First goal scorers for everybody.
Ooh, now you're tickling with fire. I think Randy gets first goal.
Nichushkin.
I have to agree with Jenna here. Nichushkin's been the hot hand. I think he continues to be hot.
I think Brandon's getting fired. He's getting fired up. I think Brandon gets first goal. On the
I hope so.
Rantanen needs to get fired up. I definitely agree with that. So hopefully Rantanen
my predictions have been pretty damn spot on lately.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's show. As I said, this was our last show until the new year. We will return on January 3rd, 2024. So from Colorado Sports Connection, the Blizzard Warning crew, myself, Kaiser Riddell, Jenna Chavez, and Graham. Graham's behind the camera for us, doing some stuff, some production and stuff for us.
I have so much background.
Thank you, guys. She's got all
Merry
the space
Christmas.
behind
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year.